Welcome to the Nation of History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Allied troops approached the coast of Normandy on June 6, 1944, during the historic D-Day invasion. This view from aboard a landing craft captures the soldiers' tension before reaching the beaches, a decisive moment that changed the course of the Second World War. An aerial view of Berlin in 1946 reveals widespread damage in the German capital after the end of the 20th century's largest global conflict. The Brandenburg Gate stands isolated among damaged structures and streets covered with rubble. The striking scene shows the beginning of a long rebuilding process. San Francisco's iconic Market Street shows the traces of the impact that occurred on April 18, 1906. This H.C. White Company image reflects urban resilience in the face of physical damage. Rubble and weakened structures line the street as the city began its long rebuilding process. In 1939, English children took part in civil defense drills using masks meant to protect against chemical agents. School life in Europe was deeply changed by the threat of air attacks, pushing civilians of all ages to carry protective equipment regularly. In 1923, the safety industry sought to prove the effectiveness of early ballistic protection through public demonstrations. A close-range test of a bullet-resistant vest reflects experimental methods and the risks taken in developing new defensive technology. A Swedish farmer wears protective clothing and a mask to dispose of contaminated fodder in 1986. The procedure took place months after the accident at the Chernobyl power plant, showing the cross-border environmental impact that affected agriculture in many parts of Europe. German workers discarded tons of vegetables in 1986 due to fear of contamination after the incident at the Ukrainian power plant. Protective suits and hazard symbols point to the seriousness of the public health situation that affected farming and food consumption across Europe. In 1908, industrial life was marked by miners doing exhausting work in coal mines. The image of children bent over conveyor belts to sort material shows the lack of protective labor laws and the social impact of exploitation during that economic period. In 1944, singer Edith Piaf visited the Stalag 3D detention camp in Germany for a musical performance. During the visit, she posed for photographs that were later used to forge identity papers, helping dozens of detained French people leave the military complex. A Mexican federal soldier rests beside a woman kissing him in Chihuahua in 1932. While he wears ammunition belts across his chest, the young woman holds the barrel of his weapon, a scene that humanizes the daily life of government forces during Mexico's post-revolution internal conflicts. Inside the Cathedral of Notre Dame of Amiens in 1915, thousands of sandbags were carefully stacked to shield the carved choir. The barrier protected Gothic heritage from long-range shelling, preserving the integrity of this French sacred art. Hundreds of wine barrels for the French army are lined up on Lemnos, Greece, shortly before the Battle of Gallipoli in 1915. The huge supply reveals both military logistics and troop culture during the First World War. The tents in the background complete the Allies' strategic scene. American sailors at the Great Lakes Naval Training Station wait for a strict inspection in 1940. Bernard Hoffman's photograph for Life magazine captures military discipline, with recruits standing behind their neatly arranged belongings on the ground, reflecting United States mobilization before the Second World War. The massive television camera known as the Fernsehkanone operated during the Berlin Olympic Games in 1936. The oversized equipment used Telefunken technology to broadcast events to public viewing rooms and stations across the city. In 1961, the Brandenburg Gate witnessed the start of construction that would divide the German capital for decades. The movement of workers and machinery to raise the first concrete barriers marked the physical hardening of geopolitical tensions between world powers. Hollywood's extravagant life in 1971 allowed oddities such as keeping wild animals as pets. This lion lived like a family pet, riding in cars and taking part in daily home life, showing an unusual relationship with wildlife that would be widely questioned today. Using exotic animals for transportation was a curiosity in 1890s California. This ostrich-drawn cart on a Los Angeles area farm shows how entertainment and travel blended in unusual experiments that drew Victorian-era attention. On October 22, 1969, artist Salvador Dali surprised the public by leaving a Paris subway station accompanied by an anteater. The scene reinforced his surreal persona and his use of exotic animals as extensions of his art, challenging urban logic and the social conventions of the time. American aviator Ormer Locklear defies common sense by walking on the wing of a Curtiss JN-4 Jenny biplane in midair. This act of courage took place in June 1920, when the pilot reached about 90 miles per hour over a cityscape watching the dawn of the stunt flying era. Photographer Arthur Clarence Pillsbury positioned himself on the hood of a Studebaker 6 in a daring stunt just inches from the drop at Glacier Point in Yosemite National Park. The early 20th century scene aimed to promote tourism and show the toughness of automobiles on extreme terrain. Workers on the Eiffel Tower pose on shaky scaffolding in 1888 during the final stage of building the monument for the World's Fair. The image shows the bravery needed to raise the iron structure in Paris without safety equipment. Their work helped shape the skyline of modern France. Restoring the Statue of Liberty's torch during the 1930s required courage and technical skill from workers. From high on the structure, the growing silhouette of Manhattan can be seen, highlighting the ongoing effort to maintain one of the world's greatest symbols of democracy. Inventor Nikola Tesla appears calmly reading in his Colorado Springs laboratory as colossal electrical discharges streak through the air around him in 1899. The famous multiple exposure image illustrates his experiments with the magnifying transmitter, aiming to make wireless power transmission possible. This upper limb prosthesis was developed in the United States in 1959. Built specifically for a 17-year-old, the device uses leather and metal in its structure. The design reflects advances in medical engineering in the middle of the 20th century. On December 5, 1933, the United States celebrated the ratification of the 21st Amendment to the Constitution. The image of people raising bottles in crowded places symbolizes the end of 13 years of legal restrictions on making and selling alcoholic drinks in the country. 5 women posed to show the evolution of women's swimwear between 1875 and 1927. The visual timeline reveals the shift from long, heavy garments to more practical designs, reflecting changes in social norms and women's freedom. Several police officers dressed as women took part in a tactical operation in Los Angeles in 1960. The goal was to catch pickpockets working in the area, using surprise to improve arrest success and support local public safety. Between 1964 and 1968, the temples of Abu Simbel were taken apart and moved to higher ground in Egypt. The monumental engineering effort was necessary to save ancient heritage from rising waters caused by the construction of the Aswan Dam. Driver Graham Hill uses a Nikon camera mounted to his helmet during the Monaco Grand Prix in 1962. The experimental setup in Monte Carlo aimed to capture new images from the driver's point of view, anticipating later broadcast and sports recording technology. The Yar-5A rocket rests on the ground at Kapustin Yar beside a small spotted dog on August 27, 1958. This Soviet space-age document records the successful test mission after landing, representing a crucial advance in biological and technological research beyond Earth's orbit. The futuristic interior of the Maserati Boomerang was revealed at the Turin Auto Show in 1971. The concept featured a unique steering wheel with the instrument panel built into its center, a radical design move that showcased the forward-looking vision of Italian automotive engineering. Teenager Bryn Owen shows off his customized Vespa scooter in Leicestershire in 1983. At only 17 years old, he fitted it with 34 mirrors and 81 lights, a symbol of British mod culture that prized style and urban individuality. A crowd of 400,000 people spreads across the hills of Bethel during the Woodstock Festival in 1969. The event became an unmatched cultural landmark in modern history, bringing young people together around music and counterculture and turning the farm into a symbol of an entire generation. A photo of Bob Marley's wedding at age 20 in 1966 shows a lesser-known side of the Jamaican icon before global fame. Wearing a classic suit beside Rita Marley, he appears in a formal style that came before his close association with the Rastafari movement and reggae culture. With a calm presence, Princess Elizabeth II, at 16, poses in uniform and cap in an elegant portrait by Cecil Beaton amid the wartime atmosphere in Europe. The gentle framing highlights her confident gaze and the discipline of a generation. The image foreshadows the public figure who would shape the British monarchy. Physicist Albert Einstein celebrated his 72nd birthday at Princeton University on March 14, 1951. As he left in the back seat of a car with the Ida-Lot couple, he showed fatigue with the photographer's persistence and responded with a gesture that became iconic. Albert Einstein poses beside members of a Native American community during a visit in 1922. Wearing a traditional headdress, the physicist reflects a cultural exchange on United States soil, capturing a rare moment of contact between European science and indigenous peoples. Italian officials examined the Mona Lisa in Florence in 1913, soon after the recovery of Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece. The painting had been stolen from the Louvre Museum 2 years earlier, creating a global scandal that ironically raised it to the status of a worldwide art icon. Construction of the Statue of Liberty's pedestal in New York City advanced in 1885 under the supervision of architect Richard Morris Hunt. The huge concrete and granite structure on Bedloe's Island relied on workers who built the base to receive France's gift. An immigrant family looks at the Manhattan skyline from the docks of Ellis Island on August 13, 1925. Carrying suitcases and hope, they take in New York City's financial center after crossing the Atlantic, marking the peak of the migration wave that shaped American demographics. The lively scene of Times Square in December 1912 reveals New York City in the middle of a technological shift. Between electric streetcars and Manhattan's towering buildings, early private automobiles share space with hurried pedestrians, showing the fast pace of the American metropolis. The streets of Paris in 1910 set the stage for a shift in women's fashion as stiff corsets gave way to looser lines and dramatic hats. Decorated parasols and dark fabrics at social events signaled status and the strict style of France's Belle Époque. residents of Tehran enjoyed the snowy mountains around the Iranian capital during the 1990s for leisure and relaxation. Colorful clothing and portable music players reflect the influence of global culture on the social life of that urban generation. The Acropolis of Athens dominated the Greek landscape in 1869, showing the ruins of the Parthenon above a city that still had rural features and low buildings. At that time, preservation of classical heritage was gaining momentum as the capital slowly modernized. The Great Telescope of the Paris World's Fair is shown to the public in 1900. As the largest refracting telescope built at the time, it symbolized scientific progress and early 20th century engineering. Visitors look up at the monumental structure installed in the Palace of Optics. French inventor Paul Cornu, who originally worked as a bicycle maker, built an early helicopter prototype in 1907. The machine used wide-tipped rotors and a light metal frame, making a historic flight in France on November 13, 1907, marking the start of practical rotary wing engineering. The massive British airship R1001 is shown moored to its docking tower at Cardington in the 1920s. Passengers used the gangway to board the craft, which represented the peak of air engineering at the time, aiming to establish long-range commercial routes across the British Empire with cutting-edge technology. Howard Hughes appears at the controls of the Spruce Goose during the 1940s, a time marked by major advances in aerospace engineering. The massive flying boat, weighing about 441,000 pounds, symbolizes the technological ambition and pioneering drive of the businessman who pushed the limits of modern aviation worldwide. The German Schienenzeppelin appears as a marvel of rail engineering in 1931, reaching about 143 miles per hour. Powered by a rear propeller, the streamlined vehicle aimed to revolutionize rail travel. This technical breakthrough reflects Europe's relentless pursuit of speed and efficiency. Ford's futuristic design in 1947 shows a vehicle fitted with a bubble-shaped glass roof, reflecting post-war optimism. Moving through the streets of California, the model gave passengers a new panoramic view. The styling aimed to blend technology and elegance into everyday life. The iconic BMW Isetta reshaped the idea of tiny urban transportation in the 1950s with its unusual front-opening door design. This example of German engineering let couples travel economically, fitting European daily life to post-war needs for efficiency. During the hard years of the Great Depression, flour producers adopted a creative, supportive practice after noticing families sewing clothes from empty sacks. Companies began printing floral patterns and colorful designs on the cloth packaging so the finished garments would look respectable. Walt Disney shares a reading moment with his grandson in 1955. The creator of Mickey Mouse wears his well-known accessories as he reads stories to the child. The image captures the family side behind an entertainment empire that was expanding worldwide at the time. Early taxi companies filled the streets of St. Petersburg during a period of technological and social transition. Primitive motor vehicles with canvas tops contrast with the classical facades of Russian buildings as uniformed drivers wait for passengers on a cobblestone street. Dairy worker training in Canada in 1927 shows the era's unusual teaching methods. Young trainees use rubber simulators mounted on wooden stands to practice hand milking before working with animals, reflecting the push for efficiency and cleanliness. The old terminal of Line 58 in Zuglaget, photographed in 1977, shows the quiet, nostalgic charm of public transit in Budapest. The station features detailed wooden architecture that recalls the 19th century as the streetcar follows winding tracks through dense greenery in Hungary's hills. Early 20th century gyms reveal human curiosity about fitness through rudimentary machines. These hand-powered wooden treadmills from the middle of the 1920s show how sports technology tried to align natural movement with mechanical progress. During the 1950s, British public safety agencies sought innovations to protect officers in street conflict situations. Testing new tough materials under a leather jacket shows the technological transition of personal protective gear in that era. In 1957, filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock used his surreal style for a promotional moment with the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer lion. The image of the director serving tea to the big cat at a set table reflects the offbeat humor and visual marketing that marked his film career. The dry landscape of Arizona in 1914 shows the boldness of the first motor travelers exploring the Grand Canyon. Sitting at the edge of the drop, the tourist shows confidence in the new machines of that era. This image highlights the freedom and adventurous spirit that shaped American tourism. A stork loaded with Chevrolet models arrives at the Brise dealership in Syracuse, New York in 1927. The image captures the growth of the American auto industry and the logistics of mass distribution. This commercial scene points to economic expansion and the rising popularity of cars. A vendor balances dozens of tambourines on his head in Naples, Italy, in the early 20th century. The everyday scene captures the tradition of street selling and the cultural richness of the Mediterranean region. This traveling trade was a key part of the local economy and Naples's lively social life. A roadside store in Alabama shows storefronts covered with ads for popular products in 1936. Walker Evans's photograph reveals Great Depression-era commercial style, with tonic and soda posters covering the wooden building. The scene illustrates rural life and consumer habits in the American South. A milk delivery man drives his horse-drawn cart on the outskirts of Cambridge during the 1910s. The vehicle carries the familiar metal cans and the name H. Doggett, showing how supplies moved in Edwardian Britain before local commerce became widely motorized. Children from the St. Margaret Nursery in Battersea are carried in a large basket adapted with wheels during the bus strike in 1937. The improvised solution let caregivers move through London's streets, showing how the local community handled the shutdown of public transportation. Sitting in his wheelchair on the empty grass of Ebbets Field, Roy Campanella looks out at the place that defined his career on February 23, 1960. His iconic number 39 jersey rests beside him as the Brooklyn stands await the imminent demolition that would end a golden era of baseball. A child dressed in peasant clothing sits at a rustic wooden table in an 1898 artistic composition titled "Hunger is the Best Cook." Myra Albert Wiggins uses natural light from a small window to highlight the simplicity of rural life and a child's patience. A technician performs detailed maintenance on electromechanical telephone switches inside the East 30th Street Central Office Building in New York City in 1938. The complex system of wiring and connections was essential for mass communication in the metropolis before the digital era. A group of campers enjoys an outdoor meal using an innovative trailer with a built-in compact kitchen during the 1920s. The setup included compartments for dishes and supplies, reflecting the rise of car-based leisure and the desire for more convenience on recreational trips. Customers in Los Angeles use a convenient drive-through system to buy bread and snacks directly from their cars in 1949. The business combines a market and a convenience store, reflecting California's growing post-war car culture, where fast service was becoming the new standard. Members of a women's bowling team pose in matching uniforms on a Chevrolet at a San Francisco dealership in the middle of the 1940s. The image captures the meeting point of sports leisure and automobile advertising, highlighting women's role in California's urban social life. In black and white, a young woman poses calmly at the edge of a field where cows graze, with rows of buildings and a wide road in the background under a cloudy sky. Her braided hairstyle and simple necklace add an everyday feel, captured without a stiff pose. The scene blends city and countryside in a light moment as life carries on around her. Native people in North America are photographed at a camp on the Great Plains in 1890. The scene shows a decorated teepee and riders in traditional clothing, highlighting cultural resilience and a nomadic way of life during a time of major change and territorial pressure. A tourist enjoys a ride on the Snow King Mountain chairlift in Jackson, Wyoming on August 29, 1955. The image captures a panoramic view of the town in the background and the simple recreation equipment of the era, revealing the growth of adventure tourism in the American West. Hundreds of drink barrels are stacked in the yard of the Guinness Brewery in Dublin, Ireland, around 1910. The busy industrial scene reveals the scale of production and the logistics of the time, with carts and workers moving among the wooden stacks destined for global markets. Factory workers in early 1900s, England relied on a human alarm clock to avoid missing their shift. Using a long bamboo pole, the worker gently tapped on upper window panes, making sure clients woke up for a long workday. A steam locomotive passes through the residential area of Kensal Rise in London in March 1921. Rows of identical houses reveal dense urban planning of the era, when rail transport was vital for connecting working-class suburbs to the city center. A young Bedouin woman poses for a portrait in Al-Karak, Jordan in 1907. The facial tattoos visible on her face carry deep cultural meanings, representing identity, protection, and lineage within nomadic traditions that flourished in the Levant region. In 1934, the first Moscow metro train made its trial run, marking the start of one of the world's most iconic transit systems. Workers and technicians followed the first test deep beneath the Soviet capital to ensure the safety of the new rail network. Urban life in the 1920s was often defined by young delivery workers driving animal-drawn carts. These jobs reflected subsistence realities and the era's business logistics. Transportation infrastructure depended heavily on this kind of manual labor. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.